Hi, I'm Fraya and I'm here with the Cookery Workshop Conversations with Aber Food Hub. So today we're going to be making a really simple pasta sauce, and what you'll need for this is an onion, some garlic, a couple of small carrots, a courgette, some chickpeas, but you can use any other kind of bean. So say if you like kidney beans, or you can even use veggie mince or beef mince. It's just whatever protein sauce that you fancy. And we're going to also use some chopped tomatoes, some broccoli, some fresh basil, some sun-dried tomatoes, and you're going to use the oil for this as well, some tomato puree, some pasta, and the secret ingredient, balsamic vinegar. This is really important, but this can be swapped out for just some ordinary sugar if you prefer that. So first we're going to chop everything and prep it all so that it's just ready to go. So firstly we're going to just dice the onion. So there's a technique for doing this, and if you're a person like me who tends to cry when they cut onions, a great thing to do is always avoid cutting the root. So as long as you keep that, so hold it like this and avoid the root when you can. Then you want to peel this bit of skin off. It's always easier said than done. Put that to the side. This way, if you keep the root intact, it will stop the chemical releasing, which is what makes you cry in the first place. It's like the onion's defense mechanism, basically. So you want to hold it like this, and I find it really easy to follow the lines here, so you're not working against the grain. So you want to hold it like that, like that. You want to get nice. Oops. Go. You see it's all cut down the side, and now you want to do, oh, there might be a little bit of skin left on there. That's okay. I'll just peel that off. So, and you want to make a little incision down here. This will make it easier to dice. I might turn it around. Like that. Maybe another one down here. And then along the side, and then you want to do the same for this size, for this side of the onion, and then chop this off near the end. Right, so you've got all the onion over here, so let's do the garlic now. So for this recipe, I'm just going to use 2, but depending on the garlic you get, you can use a lot more than that because it will give a lot more flavour. So how I do this is I chop off the end here, only a little bit, and a trick I use to try and get the skins off a lot easier is with the flat of my knife, I crush it, and that just comes apart much better, like so. There we go. Also, fun fact, when you crush garlic like this, it releases a chemical called allicin, and that just gives it way more flavour, and it's actually got a lot of health benefits as well. So if you've got a garlic crusher at home, definitely get it out for this, because it'll make your garlic flavour go much further, and you won't need to use as much. Now we're going to dice up the rest of the veg into really small pieces, so about that thickness. That way it'll cook a lot quicker. You don't have to be a perfectionist at this. And then the same thing again with the courgette. Really, you can get it a lot thinner because this is a lot bigger. So nice and thin. But like I said, if you've got more time on your hands and you want to cook this for longer, then you can do chunkier pieces. There we go. Stack them up like this, not too high. And just hold it like that, like a little bridge around that, in the middle, and then you can go, hold it again, like that, in the middle again. There we go, so it comes to about shape. So, and then we're going to chop some broccoli off. So for this, I'm only going to use a few stalks. And don't be afraid of using the stem as well, because this can be just as tasty and it's just a waste if you don't use it. So just chop it off right at the base like that. What I like to do with the stem, because it can be a lot chewier, is that I sometimes just boil it with the pasta. And that way you can just hide it, or hide pretty easily in sauces. So most of the time you've got a bit of pasta, you know, it's the same size, you're gonna miss it in the sauce. It's a great way to hide veg. And with the broccoli, we're just gonna, depending on the size, if it's about this big, just down the middle again. And then if you want it even smaller, I'm gonna make it even smaller, like this. Get it nice and tiny so that it'll cook quickly. Basically, the bigger the veg, the longer it's gonna take to cook. And with broccoli, you can even prep this a few days in advance if you know that you're going to be using it. Just a word about food waste as well. Food waste bins are great and they're great for composting, but these ends of vegetables like this that you might not want to eat, you can actually put it in a little bag or a box and pop it in your freezer. So this includes the skins from the garlic, the skins from the onion. You can just keep it in a box in the freezer, and if you get enough of it, you can actually make your own vegetable stock, and it's super easy, really cheap to make, and you're using up all of your food waste. It's a great thing to do. Now if we look at all the veg that we've cut, all of the onion, we've got the little bits of garlic there, the carrot, the courgette and the broccoli, that's a high volume amount of food, and just from those little bits of veg you can create a lot of food, and it's really cheap, especially these vegetables because they're in season at the moment. So you'll find plenty of these in the supermarkets or in markets. Yeah, look at all of that, it's amazing. So a little trick, I like to use the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes, and it just gives a really good flavour. So on a high heat, you want to just put a splash of oil, about that much, maybe about a tablespoon if you want to measure it, and that can be any oil, by the way. Yeah, and we'll let this heat up, make sure it's spread around the pan, and then the first vegetable that we're going to add is going to be the onion, because that can cook down for a while, and then we'll add the carrot. There we go, has that nice satisfying sizzle. Don't add the garlic in yet. I know a lot of people like to do that, but garlic burns quite easily. Let that sit there for maybe 2-3 minutes. There we go. I'm going to add the carrots next, because these take quite a while to soften. If you want as well, you can even quarter these as well. If you're not keen on carrots, just make them as small as you can and hide them and trick yourself into eating them. There we go. Now we're going to add the rest of the veg now, so it can all cook together. So all of the carrot and the onion, it's getting nice and soft and translucent. That's what you want to look for. So now we'll just add the courgette, and you can add the garlic as well, with little bits of it. Make sure you give it a good stir, coat it in that oil. There we go. And then you can leave this for a little bit longer, maybe another 5 minutes, and then we'll add more ingredients. Pop a little lid on top, keep in the heat. Now I've just added some sun-dried tomatoes. I've used 2, and you just chop them up nice and small, and you just add them to this, give it a stir, and pop the lid back on. And now we're going to get a bit of fresh basil, about this much, but do it to your taste. So you want to just bunch it up like this, get your knife, careful of your fingers, just get it nice and small. I've also opened and I've drained the chickpeas. You can keep the liquid in a separate container if you like. If you like baking loads of vegan stuff, you can make mayonnaise, you can make meringues with it, but for the purpose of this, I've just put it down the sink. How this is doing now. That's going lovely. All of the vegetables are getting nice and soft. So, as you can see, the vegetables, they've decreased in size a bit and they've gotten a lot softer. So now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So, we're going to get the chickpeas. If there's still a bit of juice in the chickpeas, it's fine. Just add a little bit of salt. Chopped tomatoes in. Now keep this on top, don't stir it in yet. Because now we're going to add the basil. And now going to get your balsamic vinegar, either with a tablespoon or just with the cap. I just like doing it with the cap. I want to do 1, 2, 3. If you've got more tomatoes, just add more. Add a little bit more. Get the tomato puree. And squeeze about so much in. And this will have a bit of sugar, maybe a bit of salt in it as well. And now we're just going to mix it all in. Balsamic vinegar, why we put that in it is because it's got sugar in it. Now the tomatoes, when you make it yourself, it might seem just not as sweet as the jars that you get in the shop, and that's because they put loads of sugar in it. And if you do just want to use sugar, you can, and it will make it taste great as well. But the great thing about balsamic vinegar is that it will add just a bit more flavour to it, a bit more heartiness to it. And usually you can get balsamic vinegar for really cheap. It's not just for making salads, it's for making sauces really delicious. And if you like, you can add, which I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. If you don't want to use as much salt, I'd recommend maybe a quarter of a stock cube. You can just chop it in half and then chop it in half again. Now for this, I'm going to put this on the side here. I've put the pasta on and I'm going to add some salt to the water. It's just something I've always done. Salt the water. And we'll give that a little bit of a stir. I've put about 2 people's servings worth in there, but usually on the packet it will say about 75 grams of dry per person. But everyone likes to eat a little bit more pasta than that, so I usually put about 100 grams per person. And that way, you know, there'll always be someone who wants a little bit more. So if you look at this, it's bubbling a bit. I put it on a little bit of a higher heat so that the tomatoes can cook better. Now, if this is a bit too bitty for you, there's lots of bits in this, then if you've got a blender, a great thing to do would be to maybe cook the vegetables and then give them a blend and then add your protein to it. But this is just, I really like having a bit of bite, so flavour. You can also add oregano, any other mixed Italian herbs, they're great. Something I occasionally add as well, but I'm not going to do today, but something you might want to try, some of the advanced cooks out there, is a little bit of soy milk, or even just cow's milk, maybe like 2 tablespoons worth in there, and it makes it super creamy and delicious, and it just adds a nice bit of fat to it, and it just makes it delicious. So yeah, we'll come back when this is all cooked, and you can just leave this. So the pasta's all done now, so I've drained it and I'm going to pop it to the side, and the just leave it there. And now the sauce is done as well, so I've just turned off the hob. Now let's give this a quick try, see if we need to add anything to it. So, that's good. Yeah. Now if you try this and you think needs a bit something else, add a little bit of salt, add a little bit more balsamic vinegar. You can even add a little bit of ketchup because that will just give it some more tomatoey, saucy flavour, and it's also got a little bit of sugar in it as well, which is really nice. But yeah, all in all, this sauce can be done really quickly, or if you like it extra soft, then you can leave this for an hour just on a low heat, or you're watching TV, doing something else. Yeah, just keep it on a low heat and it will be delicious. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and if you like, you can join in on the Zoom call if you have any questions for me, and yeah, let me know if you try this.